So this is a federal law. It's not Illinois, it's not Chicago, it's not Cook County, it's a federal law. And the reason I'm only going to spend, a couple minutes on it, we're going to have a future landlord workshop dedicated entirely toward this Corporate Transparency Act. And I've already lined up, Justin, has presented to our group before. He's going to give us a presentation about it. So what this Corporate Transparency Act says, it applies to all entities, including landlords. If you have an LLC or an S Corp, which a lot of us landlords do, this is going to apply to you. There are other entities that other businesses use. I just didn't list them there because these are the two that most landlords use. If you guys who are listening do not have an entity, you don't have to worry about this. So just make a distinction right off the bat there. But, here it is. So if the landlord doesn't have an entity, you don't have to worry about it. This Corporate Transparency Act was actually passed a couple years ago, but it has been very controversial. People are freaking out about it, businesses. So it took them a long time to hammer out the details and, make everybody aware of it and sort of calm everybody's nerves about it. So it finally went into effect on January 1st. And we've got time to comply with it. So if you guys already have an LLC or an S Corp already set up, we've got now less than a year, but we've got 11 months to comply with this. However, if you guys are thinking about setting up a new LLC or S Corp, you only have 30 days from when that entity kicks in to comply with this Corporate Transparency Act. So that's why I've heard a lot of, other real estate groups or maybe even a landlord group are like, I'm going to worry about this later. What's going to happen December 30th of, 2024? Crap, I got to comply with this law. Everybody's going to be freaking out, scrambling. I'd rather us get the information out there, then you guys can decide when you want to file or when you want to comply with this. And then if you are thinking about setting up a new entity, you'll have the information ready to go. So why the federal government is getting involved is they want any business to give them information to let them know who actually owns these businesses. And you have to give information to a government agency called the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN. It is a department of the Treasury. So think about it like the IRS. I mean, these guys are no joke. This is a very important law at a very high federal level. And the point of this Corporate Transparency Act is the government wants to know who actually owns these businesses. And the reason this came about is that it's just a huge amount of illegal activity going on in terms of finances. There's so much fraud going on. I mean, how many of you guys have seen all these scams and wire money transfer frauds and just there's a lot of money laundering involved, particularly like human trafficking. They're laundering the money, particular into real estate and drugs getting laundered. And there's the big tax evasion. A lot of these businesses are incorporating overseas, hiding, whatever. All of these, legal activities are occurring. So the U.S. is losing billions of dollars in revenue, and there's just massive amounts of illegal activities going on. So what do we have to do to comply? So if you are a landlord and you have an entity, we're basically going to prove to the government we are who we say we are. My name is Mary. Here's a picture of my ID. Here's my documents showing I have XYZ Corporation. So you have to gather some documents, and then we're going to go onto this website and file these documents. And then lastly, I'm sort of joking here, but I cannot stress the importance of you guys complying with this law if you have an entity. I've listened to numerous podcasts, read a bunch of articles about it, and everybody is saying, think about it like the IRS is going after you, this FinCEN organization. If you do not comply, there's a $500 per day penalty per entity. They are actually going to throw people in jail and prosecution by the Department of the Treasury. Kimberly, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I've heard that people are getting letters in the mail that look like they're from the government saying that they can do this and then charging a fee.
So Thank you for pointing that out. Yep. See, this whole law is to prevent the scams, and now these people are taking advantage of the law to try to scam you.
Scam with this now.
So thank you for mentioning that. I was not aware of that, but you guys can see, it's going to be a little bit of, okay, crap, one more thing I got to do. But thank you, Kimberly, for that, because you can see why we need this, at this point. So I just want to wrap this one up and address any myths here is that, look, I only got one rental. I don't have to comply. You may have to, even if you have one rental, if you have an LLC or an S corp. You don't have an entities, you don't have to, worry about it. And then the other myths I've already seen floating around, anytime the government forces new regulations on us, all this big brother stuff starts kicking in. So people are saying, oh my God, the government's going to use this information to spy on me. They're going to publish it. And now everybody's going to know what, businesses I own or any of these conspiracy theories that are floating around. Do not believe any of that stuff. The government already knows you. They know where you live. They have the information when you file your taxes. They're not going to share that information. It's just going to be a very straightforward thing to combat fraudulent activities. So just a disclaimer there. I know I don't want to, rain on anybody's parade. If you subscribe to some of this stuff, everybody's entitled to believe what they want to, but really take a look at who is disseminating that information. And hopefully you'll be rest assured that this is going to be a good thing and the government is not going to use this to spy on us.